Welcome to the Too Busy to Eat show. I'm Greg Zaffalato, the host of the show and also the founder of Too Busy to Eat, the protein bar company. Now, today's show, we have Danielle Natoni on our show, Mrs. Fit and Funky. She is a master trainer, Beachbody coach. She's the creative director for Shanti, the Insanity program. I mean, she is an influencer of influencers. Her reach is very wide. Her Instagram account, Danielle Natoni, is one of the most active accounts I've ever seen. And she also has a new website coming out. It's daniellenatoni.com. She's helping people just change their lives all over the world. So I encourage you to go to daniellenatoni.com, check out Danielle Natoni on Instagram, and you will be impressed. She's wonderful. And before we get to the interview, I want to encourage you to go to toobusytoeat.com, check out what we have on there, our products. Let me know what you think. All right, now let's get to the interview. Well, welcome, Danielle. I'm so excited to have you on the Too Busy to Eat show. I thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thanks. I'm super excited that we could make this work.
Yeah, it's great. And, I've had the pleasure of reading about you and following your journey and your really exciting Instagram account and everything you do. But let's give everybody an opportunity to kind of find out, how you got to where you are today. You have a fascinating journey. So why don't you share that with us?
Sure. So I've always been into health and fitness. So it wasn't a place where I found myself overweight or out of shape. I've actually really always, fitness is kind of part of my DNA. My parents were super healthy growing up. I was a dancer. So being fit has always been part of who I am. However, I found myself 22 and a little bit pregnant. And so I got pregnant and then I got married in that order. And in doing that, I made a lot of bad financial decisions. I had previously dropped out of college. So once I found out I was going to be a mom, I put myself back through college by waiting tables and, getting some grants to help me finish out college. And back then you could, credit card companies would set themselves up on college campuses.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal now, but they would just, pitch to you credit card. And so I basically just took every credit card I could. And I found myself just up to my eyeballs in debt. And even after I graduated college, had baby number 2, I still was an elementary school teacher, but I would bartend and wait tables as well so that I could make their daycare payment. And I would take out more credit cards. They were all maxed out. Creditors calling me left and right. Started taking out payday loans, which I'm not sure if you know what those are, but those are super dangerous, really high percentage rate. I basically would have to take out another payday loan to pay off the previous one.
Oh, God.
And what I found myself is not even just like in good old fashioned regular American debt. I found myself where I could not make it paycheck to paycheck. I had creditors calling me, my work, my parents. And every time the phone rang, basically I was scared because I just didn't know what was going to happen. So really what brought me to kind of changing my life and transitioning into a fitness career, believe it or not, was I needed a solution. I found myself, in a seemingly great job. I was in an unhealthy relationship, 2-sided unhealthy, meaning we just weren't meant for each other.
Right.
And we were drowning in debt. And I was pretending to be perfect when life was anything but, And I thought, well, there's got to be more to life than this. And how in the world am I going to get out of this debt? My credit score was below 300. I mean, it was just, I always joke that when I walked into a store, basically lights and alarms went off like, don't give her anything. So when I really sat down and thought about, okay, Danielle, you have the summers off because I was an elementary school teacher. Right. You should go back to bartending and waiting tables, which you're good at. But and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, so if you're out there listening and you're in the service industry, please, I did that for over 10 years. I have so much respect for you. But I found myself in a spot where I just didn't want to do that anymore. Yeah. And I thought, well, what can I do? I have to do something in addition to bring in a second stream of income. And I loved fitness. No matter how broke I was, I always found a way to make my gym membership payment. And every day after work, I had my gym bag already ready, and I would put my kids in the little gym daycare, and I would, for an hour or an hour and a half, I would work out. And that was my safe zone.
Right.
That was my me zone. And it brought me happiness and it brought me joy. And so I started thinking, well, if there was a way to bring in some extra income doing fitness, that'd be really cool.
Awesome.
And maybe that would bring some additional joy into my life as well, because I wasn't also just financially broken, I was emotionally broken as well. And so I had no idea that fitness people don't really make a lot of money. I just thought, well, and I used my tax return. That was back when I actually liked tax season.
Yeah.
Versus giving all my money to the government. And I used that tax return and I signed up to become a group fitness instructor.
Okay.
And that simple decision changed the course of my life forever. I started teaching group fitness classes and I got caught by the bug. I loved it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you made no money. So what I found myself was even more like in debt, but now I was in time debt because I was teaching elementary school. I was teaching 14 classes a week because that was the only way to bring in additional money.
Yep.
And then I started personal training. I went and got my personal trainer certificate. So I would be like at the gym at 5 a.m. and then I'd be back at the gym, till like 10 p.m. because I was like, I loved fitness and I loved working with people and I needed an additional income. And so I thought, well, but there still has to be more. And that's when I was presented with Team Beachbody opportunity.
Right.
And so Team Beachbody is it is a network marketing business, and it is also, we help people through Beachbody fitness programs, change their lives.
Right.
And so I thought, okay, so you're telling me I can make a business doing what I love, which is, changing lives through fitness, but I can do that also virtually through my computer. Sounds cool. I'm all in.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that as well. So teaching elementary school, I have 2 small kids. I'm teaching group fitness. I'm personal training. And I'm like, okay, let's start building an online business as well. And I just happened to be pretty good at it.
Right.
And so the rest kind of snowballed into history. I picked up my first copy of Insanity, went from fit to fitter, got asked to be in the Insanity infomercial.
Right.
At that infomercial is where, for the first time, I met Shanti, the creator of the program, who is now one of my very best friends. And I met, for the first time, my now husband. I got divorced during the process and married Darren, who is now my husband. And, there's a lot of other things along the way. I've had a lot of great success. But basically, the simple way that I kind of share my journey is I say that from fractions to fitness, I'm still a teacher. My audience is just different. So I transitioned, 7 years ago from being broken, both emotionally and financially, to, what I would consider a pretty strong, empowering female entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Who gets to wake up every day doing what she loves. That
is a great story, great journey. And you're not just, I know you're a Beachbody coach, but you're a master trainer. You're the Beachbody coach. And so you're training other trainers now. You're leading big groups of people that lead other people. So it's like going back to math, it's a multiplication effect that you're influencing.
Yeah. So there's multiple facets to what I do. So yes, I'm a Team Beachbody coach and a pretty successful one. And I have a really large team of people who have chosen to join me. I also am a master trainer for Beachbody Live, which means I teach other people how to instruct our classes in gyms. And I'm also what's called the Insanity Live format expert, which means I create all the programming for the Insanity Live classes that are taught in gyms worldwide.
Wow.
And then I also have my own brand of me, which I'm working on a lot of things that'll be launching soon, which is, I love Beachbody and all that it's done for me, but I always joke I'm like Shrek. I have tons of layers. And so there is more to me than just fitness. So now I'm really on this idea of just empowering women, especially, all people in general, but especially women, to realize that you can have it all. You can be a wife and a mom and a successful entrepreneur, and, and you have to make you a priority. And so I've got a lot of things in the pipeline to really spread that message as well.
That's really exciting. Now, with that new kind of direction you're going, or additional direction you're going, is that through your web, DanielleNatoni.com? Is that where that's going to be? Yeah.
Right. Everything will be through DanielleNatoni.com because I'm the only Danielle Natoni in the world.
That's
So,
pretty cool.
yeah. So I'm also transitioning, kind of been changing my names on social media and changing up my websites a little bit so that everything that has to do with Fit and Funky deals with my Team Beachbody business, and everything that has to do with Danielle Natoni is all my other endeavors, from speaking to motivation to, potentially a membership site and program, just all things that are just life hacks in general, is all through DanielleNatoni.com.
Okay, perfect. And will you still maintain some of the, like working with Shanti and doing?
Absolutely. Yeah. I always look at everything as like, it's never subtraction for me. I'm never, trying to, it's always about addition. Where else can I add value? Where else can I provide more assistance? Where else can I provide more help? So yes, still actively part of the Team Beachbody community. I always say each day I bleed a little bit more blue than I did the day before, but I just also have other things that I want to share with the world that I know that I have the power to help other people with. And so that will be done kind of through me, Danielle Natoni.
And you've shown over the years that you have a capacity to do that.
Yeah. It's a ever growing and ever evolving process.
Now, I just want to flash back a little bit. I found this fascinating that, fitness has been in your, like you said, it's in your DNA from the beginning, but in your math classes, you were doing mathercises. That's so awesome. What would you do with your class? Did you get them moving? And
I did. So, here's what's interesting. As an elementary school teacher, what I noticed on a grand scale was, one, our kids are getting more and more sedentary. The first thing that gets taken away from them is recess. My students at the school I taught only went to PE twice a week. And they knew I was healthy. Like it was like a running joke in my school, right? Like, so kids would come up and instead of like bringing me, a Snickers bar, they'd bring me almonds, and it was just like a thing that they knew. And so actually how mathercises came up was I taught 5th grade math, and in the state that I live in Texas, 5th grade was a grade where you were passed to promote for state testing in math.
Right.
And so you get into this, I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm sure it's true in every state. Like they call it teaching to the test, right? So you'd spend like all these weeks like preparing. And no matter what you say, there's no fun way to like practice for a standardized test.
No.
So I would like, how can I make this more interesting and more impactful? So honestly, that's how Mathersize would start. It wasn't like any brilliant idea. It was basically, we would practice a question, like a style of question that they would see in a standardized test. And then I would allow kids the opportunity to choose what movement we were going to do. So a kid would come up and we would go over like the problem. Let's say it was like multi-digit multiplication. And then that kid would go, okay, we're going to do push-ups. And so we'd all get down and we'd do 20 push-ups. And that's kind of how it started. They loved it. And so a kid, they'd fight over who was going to, and they'd try to come up with crazy things. Oh, we're going to do a wall sit, or, now we're going to, I don't even know. They really lived for it. And then I would even take it further, and I, came up with a way for us to learn multi-digit multiplication by like doing the cha-cha. And I just tried to incorporate movement as much as possible because it's interesting. So many things in the world are changing, yet the way we teach our kids has stayed pretty much the same. And this idea that a kid can sit in a chair for 8 hours a day is it's a pretty far stretch. And so what I found is the more that I could get them up and moving, the better their brains moved and the better behaved they were. And the more they were activated in their mind. And so, we did mathercises. And when I transitioned from fractions to fitness and I made my exit out of the classroom, it's funny, a lot of those parents still follow me. And, some of those kids are, graduating or on to college now. And it was never a question for them. Like they just was like, yeah, she does fitness now. Because it was just such part of what we did. And, they had this theory. This is so funny. My hair was longer then, and I used to wake up and do my workout before I would go to school.
Yeah.
And I would do that Monday through Thursday, and Friday I would take the day off from my morning workout. And so I would always just put my hair on top of my head, like in a sweaty ponytail Monday through Thursday. And on Friday I wouldn't. And they had this theory that I gave homework on the days my hair was in a ponytail. And what they realized is it was really more in relation to the days that my hair was sweaty from working out. But anyway, so math exercises and movement were part of what we did in my classroom.
That's pretty cool. Now, how does that, now you have your own 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
How does the fitness, I mean, you and your husband are active and you're going, so I know it's going to rub off on them too, but do you do anything to get them active, or are they just naturally active?
So it's interesting. Yes, I have 2 daughters. They're 16 and 11, and they're from a previous marriage. So I co-parent with my ex-husband. Right. My girls do not work out. Like, matter of fact, my oldest daughter, it is like a chore to get her to want to do anything active.
Right.
So they both play volleyball though, and they're both really competitive. They play club volleyball. They're both great. So they're active in that they're athletes.
Sure.
Would I classify them as active as like they want to work out? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, my younger one goes to personal training twice a week because she also has Tourette syndrome, and her personal trainer has Tourette syndrome. So he's a friend of mine from a long time. So that movement really helps her.
Sure.
Plus it gives her a friend who understands what she's going through. Yeah. And my oldest daughter started going to him and she hated it. Like she was like, she's just not into it. So do I think though that my healthy habits will rub off on them over time? Yes, but I don't force them to work out per se. What I hope is that I'm modeling healthy behavior. And listen, the mother of 2 daughters, it's a constant kind of also battle to ensure that they realize I work out to be healthy, not to be skinny. So, because they'll ask me that. One day my younger one said to me, "Mommy, why do you work out so much? You're already skinny." And so it's like trying to remind her, Mommy does this because it makes her feel amazing. It makes me feel healthy and good. Right. So I don't force them to be active, but they're active by nature because they're athletes and they want to be better in their game and their sport. But you're not going to really catch my daughters in our home gym, working out just because.
No, I agree. We're this. My family is the same. My wife and I were athletes, and they like sports, they like things, but they're not going to, necessarily go and do a long workout or join us in a workout. Once in a while, they'll get roped into it. But you've modeled over the years, and they know what what a good healthy lifestyle is.
Right. Yeah. My hope is that as they get older and they're more in college and into their adult years, then they just realize they have a lot of these healthy habits instilled in them, which is what I had, that'll start to translate into wanting to be active on purpose. Because right now it's easy because they're involved in sports. But if you don't stay involved in sports as you get older, then it's easy to kind of break away from that fitness scenario. So what I'm hoping is that me modeling this healthy behavior when sports maybe aren't as prevalent in their life, then they'll choose to move more to the gym, running, yoga, workout kind of style because they know that mom did it. Yeah,
and for lifelong health, that's something they'll know. And that's great. What do you, in your philosophy you're very healthy, you're very active. What is your philosophy nutrition-wise? What do you do?
Sure. So I don't think anything's black and white at all. So I feel like everybody has to do what works for them. Yeah. So for me, it started with a very paleo lifestyle. That's what kind of really gelled with me. So I don't do dairy, grains, or legumes. I, however, do have a really big affection for white rice. So on occasion, I will bring that in. Or if I'm going to do a dairy on occasion, it might be goat cheese or raw grass-fed dairy. But for the most part, I follow a pretty paleo lifestyle. Yeah. With that being said, I always joke so for example, Shakeology is a Beachbody product and technically it's not paleo, but it makes me healthier. Yeah, and so, people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're paleo, but you drink Shakeology. How do you handle that?" And so I'm always like, nobody's going to come to my house and remove my paleo membership card, So I don't subscribe to any one methodology. Yeah. So what I say is I follow, basically I follow the paleo principles that works for me. No grains, dairies, or legumes. I believe, in organic. I want my meats to be sustainably raised as much as possible. And I also, over the years, I never set up to do this, but over the years, what I also found is intermittent fasting.
Yep.
I never started it with the intention of like, oh, this is the trend. Like I've been doing it for probably 2 years now.
Yeah.
It just is what felt good to me over time.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. Like I, typically don't eat my first meal until right around now. And, but of course they're super nutrient dense meals. And so, I'm not one to wake up right away and have breakfast. It just, I don't feel as clear or as amazing that way. But again, a lot of people will message me like, well, what's your window of time? And I'm like, I don't subscribe to that either. So I basically subscribe to the school of thought of like, whatever makes Danielle feel optimal, that's what Danielle is going to do. So for me, it's a mixture of intermittent fasting with, very paleo type principles. But with that being said, this girl loves dessert, and I probably have some form of chocolate every single day. So not sure where that falls into the nutritional boundings, but honestly, the number one thing that's most important for me is quality.
Right.
And standard. So, I am really big on non-GMO, as limited chemicals and processing in my food as possible. And that's not just in my food. It's in the products I use, in our household and, even our sheets and our towels. I'm really for as like sustainable and healthy and organic as possible. I want the things that are going to make me the best me.
Yeah. That's great because that fits the lifestyle. If you were doing all your exercising and putting junk in your body, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
And there's a lot of that out there, unfortunately, right? Like especially on Instagram, it's like you see these people who are like in the gym and they're like preaching, whatever. And then but they're really not healthy, and it's like this idea of that I always say that my outer shell is really just a byproduct of everything that's going on inside my body and my brain, So when people will thoughtfully compliment me on a body part, your shoulders are amazing, or you have great abs, how do you get those? I'm like, I don't focus on that. I focus on being the healthiest me possible internally, and that just turns into a great outward shell. And so I wish that more people, especially in social media, would subscribe to that who are in the fitness space, because there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of fitness accounts who are truly not healthy. And so I'm trying to model true health, not just, physical appearance.
Right. And that's very true. There's a lot of people that will promote products or things that aren't healthy to make you look good, but internally they're not. Now, that's a great segue to that the person there that is trying to feed through all this fitness and nutrition information out there that you get good and bad. That one person that's sitting there that's unhealthy or just out of shape that wants to be, feeling good, feeling like you do all the time, right? And so where would you suggest that busy person to start towards a journey towards better health?
Yes. So this is what I tell everybody, and I truly mean this. And if you can't figure this out, you're going to struggle. And this is especially for women, though this goes for men too. If you don't make you a priority, you will never be able to go anywhere on this fitness journey, ever.
Right.
And you have to put you first. And people think that's selfish, especially females, especially for wives and moms. They don't have time to work out because of their kids, and they don't have time to eat healthy because, they're got to go to work and then, juggle kids and practice. And I am sorry, until you make you your number one priority, you will continue to struggle. So if you are brand new to working out, you are brand new to this fitness journey, you have got to figure out a way to make you your number one priority and not feel guilty about it. Because until you do that, you will constantly struggle and battle, and you will constantly put yourself on the back burner, and you will never proceed further.
Right.
And so my big mission is really helping people understand, if you want to be the healthiest you possible, if you want to be a great wife, a great mom, a great dad, a great husband, a great worker, entrepreneur, whatever it is, it starts with you. And that means every morning I have to wake up and do what's going to make me healthy. I have to put the food in my body that's going to make me healthy. And I'm going to have to get some movement. I'm going to have to sleep. And I don't know where we got this idea that once we're a wife or a mom or a husband or a dad, we come last,
Right.
because it's never going to work that way. So honestly, that is my number one piece of advice. Is it's almost like I'm giving you permission to put you first. And if you truly love your family and if you truly love the people around you, you will do that. And when you put you first, you will be able to make much better decisions in regards to your health.
Yeah, that is great advice. And I would, even though I'm not a mom, I would say that particularly towards moms, because they end up generally being very unselfish, giving everything away and not taking something for themselves. So that's great motivation, and for people to really focus in and get them. Because if you're at your best, like when you're at your best, you're best for everybody else around you too. So that's fantastic.
And it's generational change. So in other words, if I'm not modeling healthy behavior, in turn, what happens is my children learn that unhealthy behavior, and then their children learn their healthy behavior. So if we really want to make an impact on this world and on the planet and on the future of our families, we have to make a generational impact. And how we do that is by putting ourselves first. Because if I'll take me as an example. My parents were super healthy for what was healthy back then, right? Like back then the trends were like fat-free everything, right? But step aerobics with like thong leotards, but that's what they did. And so that in turn led me to realize that being healthy was important. So now I live a healthy lifestyle, which in turn I believe will help my children live a healthy lifestyle, and so on and so forth. And that's how we make a generational impact. So not only is it important from the standpoint of that's the only way you will make a change, but if you want to influence your children in a positive way, then you've got to be the best you possible as well.
That is fantastic. You've motivated me. I'm fired up. This is great. Well, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. I wish you the best in launching in this new direction, or adding on to what you're already doing. It's so exciting. You're helping so many people now, and it's just going to expand even more. So thanks for coming on the show. I just wish you the best of luck.
Thanks for having me.